In a royal capital bar, patrons gossip about a monster defying all reason. They say it commands Fenrir, the legendary beast who once served the Demon King and wiped out a notorious band of thieves. Yet, strangely, this monster appears as a black-haired child accompanied by a tiny puppy, leaving the onlookers baffled. The child and the puppy walk through the city streets unnoticed, the boy reflecting on how rumors about them have spread so far. He sighs, admitting that being an adult isn't easy, while the puppy playfully follows him. Meanwhile, in a modern city, a man named Kenzaki Yuki, 33 years old, collapses at his office desk, an ordinary company employee with no special traits. He never imagined his life would end like this. Memories flood back. A woman thanks her big brother for saving her life, even though it meant dying herself. Since their mother passed away early, he raised their younger siblings alongside their father. Both siblings recently found success and expressed deep gratitude, making him feel he lived a fulfilling, though short, life. A radiant figure appears, smiling warmly and congratulating the man on being chosen, while he silently reflects that he has no regrets. The man, confused, asks who she is and if he really died. She confirms his death and explains this is the space of a god, congratulating him for being selected to be reborn in another world due to his selfless death. He quickly grasps the concept of reincarnation. The figure explains that because he died helping someone with no ties, he will reincarnate as a powerful being with many points, offering to grant him any ability he desires. The man doubts the offer, finding it sketchy. She cheerfully promises he can become a hero and win all the girls with a cheat. The man firmly declines, stating he doesn't need cheats. He values living true to himself and laughing with everyone in the next world, which is enough for him. The radiant figure exclaims that the man is too humble, then softens her tone, admitting it would be unfair to give him nothing. She cheerfully promises to grant him a strong body. The man, still puzzled, responds with a hesitant "well then." She readies a large weapon and announces the countdown has started, explaining she arranged a hidden skill to overcome language barriers but cannot control where or when he will reincarnate. The man shouts in disbelief, questioning if she is really firing him off. The figure bids farewell, urging him to live well, and mentions that any abilities granted by virtue points from his past life will be revealed once he is reborn. The man reflects that as long as he can live normally, he is content, even as he begins to be pulled away. Snow falls heavily over a mountain range as the man's thoughts conclude with "that's enough." Meanwhile, a newborn baby wrapped in a blanket appears, crying softly amidst the snow, signaling the start of a new life. The newborn boy recalls being told he couldn't choose where he'd be born, but now finds himself in a freezing snow mountain, despite the cold. He notices he isn't freezing to death, realizing this must be the strong body promised to him. Encouraged, he moves his hands and feet, hoping to find shelter. Suddenly, a pack of large, fierce wolves appears, causing the boy to cry out in fear, convinced he will die right after birth. Eaten alive, tears stream down his face as he faces imminent danger. Just as the wolves close in, a figure steps forward, commanding them to be gone. With swift, powerful movements, the figure drives the entire wolf pack away in one strike. The boy watches in shock, unable to believe what just happened. The figure turns to the boy, noting how harsh this world is and how strong humans here are. The boy flinches at the sudden attention, overwhelmed by the situation and questioning if he can really survive. The figure kneels down, gently asking if the boy is all right, offering a moment of comfort amid the harsh, snowy wilderness. The man comforts the boy, assuring him he no longer needs to worry. The boy looks surprised, while the man reflects on how kind people in this world are and how strong he is. Kneeling, he asks why the boy is in such a harsh place and notes he must have been cold. Deciding there's no point leaving him there, the man sighs and resolves to take the boy to a safer place, lifting him gently. They arrive at a beautiful, flower-filled house surrounded by nature. The boy wonders if this is paradise. The man calls out to Olympia, who appears joyfully, calling the boy an adorably cute little traveler as she approaches. Olympia, radiant and ethereal, catches the man's surprised gaze. She explains that sometimes people from distant worlds appear here as travelers. The man realizes this explains why the boy was found in such a remote place. Olympia warmly asks the boy his name. The boy struggles to speak clearly but manages to say his name is Kenzaki Yuki. Olympia praises the lovely name. She introduces herself as a spirit and introduces the man as Lucy, a hunter, linking their fates in this strange new world. The boy feels warmth not just from the world but from Olympia and Lucy, who have touched his heart. He struggles to express his gratitude, realizing he is still about 3 years old in this world. Olympia notices he has no place to live. Surprising the boy, she declares she has made a decision. Olympia hugs the boy tightly, especially cherishing how tiny and cute he is, vowing they will raise him together. Lucy looks on silently, then questions how Olympia reached that conclusion. She explains the child has no parents in this world. She explains that ever since the Demon King died and released miasma, the world has become a mess. She insists this place is safer. The boy acknowledges Lucy's incredible power earlier and admits he would die instantly if abandoned. Lucy resolves that if they are refused here, he will accept it for the child's sake. The boy softly calls her Miss Lucy. Olympia affectionately scolds Lucy, saying that's just like her, as she joyfully lifts the boy up again. She smiles warmly, reassuring him that he has been reincarnated here and it's perfectly fine for him to stay. The boy beams with joy, grateful to have met these two. She notices he must be hungry and insists on getting him some food first. He reflects on how he never truly relied on anyone in his previous life, but now feels this warmth deeply. She serves food to him and the man. Both moved by the moment, he silently vows to repay their kindness someday. A year passes quickly. The boy cheerfully bids farewell to his mother as he sets off. He joyfully leaps across rocks, amazed at how well his body moves at just 4 years old. He acknowledges his steady growth but knows he still needs more training. Determined, he pushes himself to climb higher, telling himself he can't rely on others forever. Suddenly caught off guard, he steadies himself as a man with a scar and a woman appear. The man asks why he was trying to climb the cliff. The boy calls them mother and mom, while the man explains Olympia was worried about him. The boy explains he wanted to see the world beyond. Noting it is filled with miasma, beasts and monsters frequently go berserk as new miasma constantly appears. Thanks to Olympia's barrier, they are safe here, but he wonders what lies beyond it and wants to learn more about the world he will live in. The man with the scar smiles warmly and says he understands, promising to show the boy something special just for today. He swiftly carries the boy as they race forward together. They arrive quickly, the boy dizzy from the speed. The man points out the mountain, once called the Holy Peak, a land overflowing with the power of spirits. The boy marvels at his mother's amazing speed. The boy looks in shock at the mountain, now called the Demon Mountain. Dark flying creatures circle above, and the boy questions what this place is, repeating the name Demon Mountain with disbelief. A serene woman surrounded by gentle animals reveals a place once cherished by Olympia, a beautiful land that Athos's mother loved. The boy looks on, realizing the depth of her sadness as he understands the truth behind the mountain's current state. The boy suddenly grasps the idea of repaying his mother by restoring this place to its former beauty, asking if it would make her happy. The man with the scar smiles warmly, agreeing and encouraging the boy that he might be the one to achieve it, despite the uncertainty. The boy reflects on never having dreamed of a future before but now feels a spark of hope. Though unsure if he can succeed, he vows to try someday to restore the mountain, standing alongside the man as dark creatures circle ominously above. The boy declares that having a dream isn't so bad and vows to restore the mountain to its beautiful form. Yet, he acknowledges the need to grow strong enough to survive in this harsh world first, as the sound of creatures moving through the forest grows louder. A sudden, sharp sound breaks the quiet as a large, majestic wolf steps forward, its presence commanding attention. The woman watches intently, her expression shifting to one of awe and recognition. The wolf raises its head, howling powerfully, declaring the strength of its protective barrier that surrounds them. The boy, Yuki, energetically shouts battle cries while wielding a wooden sword, practicing his moves outside a small house. A woman calls him in for mealtime, and he happily responds. Inside, bowls of food are set on the table. The man praises Yuki's improved movements, and the boy gratefully thanks him. A quiet resolve surfaces as Yuki reflects on finding a goal even after reincarnating into this world. The boy and the man stand before a desolate mountain, once called Athos but now known as Demon Mountain. Yuki vows to restore it to its former beauty as a way to repay the mothers who raised him. The man explains the need to cut off the miasma spreading across the world. Yuki asks how to stop it, and the man replies that current efforts only subjugate the monsters and beasts born from the miasma, treating symptoms rather than the cause. The man shows an image of a creature called the Shimophori pseudodrake, explaining that if Yuki could defeat 10 of these in one night, the miasma might thin. Yuki, determined, promises to do his best, and the man reminds him that much is expected of a disciple. The man pats Yuki's head, noting that inside the protective barrier created by Yuki's mother, Olympia, it is safe. However, outside the barrier, beasts run rampant, and Yuki would never survive without skills on his mother's level. Yuki trains daily under the strict guidance of Master Lucy, who scolds him for being careless, despite her harshness. Yuki matches her level properly. She reminds him that he is still little and recently got a big scrape on his leg, but Yuki assures her the wound has already healed quickly, Lucy and the man exchange a knowing look, acknowledging how fast children recover. The boy cheerfully tells his mother not to worry, explaining that his injuries heal quickly, perhaps a gift from the goddess. The woman sighs, concerned because a pack of ice wolves has settled near the barrier's edge, making it dangerous. Another woman warns that if the miasma thickens, the barrier's power will weaken, causing worry for the boy's safety. The scarred woman declares she will patrol outside the barrier now that they have eaten. The boy eagerly asks if he can come along, and the long-haired woman encourages the scarred woman to accept, showing hope and trust. The scarred woman firmly tells the boy he must stay home, as fighting ice wolves is still too dangerous for him. The long-haired woman instructs the boy to subdue beasts inside the barrier and gather herbs. While the boy happily agrees and runs outside, the narration explains that the barrier, created by the boy's mother Olympia, repels stronger beings with holy aura. The boy reflects that some beasts with strong miasma can enter the barrier, but humans have a bit of holy aura, allowing them to pass. He practices attacking weak beasts inside the barrier, which he can now defeat, despite not knowing how strong beasts outside are. He apologizes to his master and expresses his desire to learn more about the beasts beyond the barrier. The boy admits his overflowing curiosity is irresistible. As he climbs a rocky ledge, he calls out to his master, but his voice trails off in shock. A massive, dangerous ice wolf appears nearby, its presence unsettling the boy. He notices the barrier's power weakening and wonders if this beast is the cause. The master sternly orders the ice wolves to leave, warning them this place is forbidden. The boy watches silently, sensing the largest wolf is unlike the others. The huge ice wolf lunges fiercely at the master, who braces for the attack with a solemn expression. The master charges forward, knife in hand, intercepting the massive ice wolf's fierce lunge. The boy gasps in shock, crouching down as the wolf crashes to the ground. The master turns, warning the wolf that the demon king is gone and there is no reason to fight. She orders it to go home quietly and stop getting involved with people. The boy realizes this creature was the demon king's pet and feels the outside world is frightening. The wolf stands quietly, its expression calm but wary. It slowly turns to look back at the boy, who clutches his bag tightly, feeling the weight of the moment. The boy cautiously approaches, asking if the wolf is alone. He offers food and water from his bag, hoping to ease the creature's loneliness as it lies down nearby, accepting his kindness. The boy reassures the wolf by holding out food, saying there's no poison in it. The wolf hesitates, then suddenly eats the offering. The boy watches quietly as the wolf begins to eat eagerly. The wolf's condition visibly improves, its fur shining as it sits proudly. The boy notes the change, wondering if food and water helped. He smiles warmly, glad to see the wolf feeling better. The boy gently touches the wolf, reflecting that it feels different from other beasts, almost like a dog he once couldn't take in. He recalls regretting not keeping a dog at home as rain falls around him. Walking away in the rain, the boy hopes someone kindly took in that dog. He imagines naming the wolf if he had taken it in himself, deciding on a name with quiet certainty. The boy joyfully declares the wolf's new name, Pochi. Suddenly, a skill activation appears. Universal Translation, EX/tame. Confused, the boy wonders what tame means, then notices a data card revealing the wolf's identity as Fenrir, tamed by Kenzaki Yuki. He feels something flowing into him, memories stirring, sensing this might be a gift from a goddess. The boy reflects on the wolf's lost purpose after the demon king's death and the suffering caused by the miasma. He realizes the wolf has even lost its pack, shown wandering alone in a bleak landscape. The boy understands that Pochi tried to enter a safe barrier, hoping for refuge. The wolf pack flees into the forest, while the boy's eyes widen in realization. The narration reveals that the wolf truly just wanted to run free through the forest. Pochi trots away into the trees, while the boy bows his head, touching the wolf's fur in a quiet, heartfelt moment. The boy pledges to restore the land together with the wolf, aiming to bring it back to its beautiful form. He realizes that to do so, he must first deal with a pressing issue. Worried, he thinks the wolf is far too beastly and fears his master will kill it. He anxiously wonders what to do next. Suddenly, the wolf shrinks down to a small, cute size, barking cheerfully. The boy shields his face from the sudden change, surprised and delighted. He exclaims in amazement that the huge wolf can become so small, recognizing it as the same Pochi. Pochi happily licks the boy's face, making him laugh and declare how cute the little wolf is. The boy commands Pochi to sit, and the wolf obeys promptly, earning praise. The scene shifts to a peaceful house surrounded by flowers, where the boy reflects that if things continue like this, it might be just right. The boy's parents appear, surprised to see him with the little wolf, They ask about the small mutt. While the wolf growls protectively, the boy reassures them that Pochi isn't scary and asks if he can keep him, promising to take good care of the wolf. His parents exchange a look, processing the request. The young man contemplates the challenge ahead, acknowledging it might be tough, but reassures that it should be fine as long as Yuki is with him. The boy beams with relief, glad he managed somehow. While Pochi happily barks, the man notices the boy followed him despite being told not to, catching him off guard. The man then turns to Yuki, emphasizing something important. The man declares that from now on, the boy will train properly alongside the pup. The boy apologizes with a downcast expression, but quickly responds enthusiastically with a cheerful, "Yes, master." Pochi joins in with a lively bark. The narration reveals the boy trained day after day with Pochi, leading into a time skip of 2 years later. Inside a room, the boy addresses his mother and master with determination. His gaze sharpens as he boldly declares his desire to leave the mountain, standing resolute beside Pochi. A man smoking a pipe confirms the carriage goes to Tawanalite and asks the boy if he is traveling alone. The boy replies that it's just him and Pochi, asking if they can ride. The man agrees, saying a fare is a fare, whether kid or dog, and invites them to hop in. As the boy calls Pochi to come, the dog runs off, the boy stumbles and Pochi jumps to catch him. Sitting down, the boy grips his sword's hilt, determined, thinking he must do his best now that he is finally setting out. The boy and Pochi rest on their packed belongings, the boy reading a map with a small smile. The chapter title appears, signaling a new beginning in their journey. A few days earlier, the boy declares his desire to leave the mountain. 2 adults, a man and a woman, react with surprise and concern. Questioning his sudden decision to leave, the woman expresses how sudden it is, while the other asks what he means by leaving. Inside a quiet house, a woman with a scarred face stands silently by a table as rain pours outside. A young girl with long flowing hair pleads, reminding her that Yuki is still a small child and should wait until he's older. The boy, holding the fluffy dog Pochi, insists he is trained hard and can now easily defeat Shimofuri's pseudodrakes. The boy speaks earnestly, acknowledging the safety of the barrier his mother has created but explaining that outside it, the world is ravaged by miasma and is completely different. He reassures them that he loves both his mother and master deeply. Though he must leave, the woman looks concerned, and the girl reacts with surprise. The boy declares his desire to learn about the world faster and find a way to eliminate the miasma. The woman listens with a mix of worry and understanding. While the girl gently touches the scarred woman's arm, the boy firmly states he doesn't want to wait for others to act. He wants to do it himself. Standing resolutely before a view of mountains, the boy reveals his dream: to restore the mountains of Athos, cherished by both women, to their original, beautiful state. A tearful woman calls out to Yuki, expressing her wish to see a beautiful Athos as well. She embraces the boy tightly, conveying deep emotion. Nearby, a man watches them quietly, his back turned. The man acknowledges Yuki's decision but warns him not to overdo it. Yuki cheerfully declares he is a kid who will experience many firsts from now on. He promises to rely on adults when he cannot manage alone, addressing both the man and the woman. Yuki admits he might fail and feel like giving up, but still insists he wants to go. His determination surprises the woman and the man, who exchange concerned glances. The man, with a scar on his face, remarks that Yuki has grown up splendidly without him noticing. The woman adds that even apart, they remain family. Yuki beams with hope and warmth, standing alongside the fluffy dog Pochi. The boy quietly affirms he will always be their child. The woman warmly assures him he is allowed to be with them, calling their bond a precious family. The woman begins writing a letter of introduction, explaining Yuki knows nothing beyond their current place. She plans to entrust him to an old acquaintance. Yuki asks if this acquaintance is the master's friend, and the woman confirms. She reveals the mining city Tawanalite and a man named Peter who runs a helping hand business there. Yuki wonders about helping at a helping hand shop. The woman explains Tawanalite is a fairly big city where he can work and learn many things. Yuki asks if he can bring Pochi along, and the woman agrees, saying she will include Pochi in the letter. Yuki happily embraces Pochi, who seems to follow him closely anyway. The woman tells Yuki that once the reply to the letter arrives, they will set a departure date. Yuki responds enthusiastically. He recalls training for 2 years alongside the woman, learning to hunt beasts and various skills. Though a strange mix of anxiety and excitement wells up inside him, he is sure these experiences will help him in life from now on. Reflecting on the past, Yuki realizes he lived without challenging anything, always holding back for his younger siblings. Now, excitement bubbles within him as he thinks about testing his abilities in a vast world. Pochi responds eagerly, and the day of departure arrives. Outside, Yuki's mother and Olympia urge him to reconsider, but he stands firm, despite being squished in a hug. Yuki assures them he's ready. He confirms he has the letter of introduction, while the woman nervously apologizes for her worry. Yuki's mother reminds him to keep track of his map, money, and luggage, emphasizing not to lose sight of them. She hands him fruit as a token of thanks and pleads for him to accept a gift, her voice trembling with emotion. Olympia tearfully asks if he forgot anything, lamenting her inability to accompany him. Yuki listens attentively and asks what the important thing is. Kanzaki Yuki warns firmly never to fight seriously, even if attacked. The boy processes this, imagining a scenario where an adult attacks him and understands he must run away. He accepts this advice with resolve. Yuki then receives a parting gift from the woman, who readies herself to send him off with a final word of caution. Yuki holds a dagger, explaining he borrowed it from his father's drawer since his father had no sword to give a woman. He recalls going adventuring with his master, clutching the dagger tightly. Yuki thanks his master, who responds simply. Olympia and Yuki's mother watch as Yuki prepares to leave, the woman urging him to go on. Yuki smiles with determination, ready for his journey. Yuki waves goodbye cheerfully, calling out he's off, while Pochi barks happily beside him. Yuki's mother and Olympia watch with tears, waving farewell with warm smiles. Yuki sits on a wagon with Pochi, reflecting on the loneliness of parting but resolves to give his all since he chose this path. The wagon driver announces their departure for Tawa tonight, and Yuki reassures that with Pochi by his side, he'll be fine. The wagon jolts forward as Yuki excitedly shouts they're off, with Pochi barking happily beside him. The driver warns Yuki not to lean out too far and promises to speed up if they encounter a black wolf pack. Yuki notices the carriage is empty except for them and asks if it's reserved. The driver explains that in these remote boondocks, it's usually just Yuki or Lord Granada's traveling until the next big station. Curious, Yuki asks about Lord Granada's. The driver describes him as the great hero who defeated the Demon King, sometimes using this very stagecoach. He was a mysterious masked warrior, a one-man army strong enough to scatter beasts alone, who appeared with comrades to take down the Demon King. Yuki, holding Pochi, marvels at how super strong he must be. Yuki reflects that his master was strong too, but there are even more amazing people out there. Determined, he vows to steel himself to become a strong adult. Pochi woofs in agreement as the wagon rolls down the road. Yuki wonders what kind of encounters await him and can't wait to find out. Inside the carriage, Yuki and Pochi gaze out at sparkling lights dancing in the air, filling them with wonder, surrounded by several passengers. Yuki leans forward with curiosity, while Pochi sits alert. The carriage is packed tightly, but Yuki's excitement and anticipation for the journey ahead shine brightly in his eyes. The carriage arrives at its destination, and Pochi excitedly barks to announce it. The driver calls out to the young boy that they've arrived, still groggy. Yuki yawns as Pochi affectionately licks his face, waking him up. The driver asks Yuki how the ride was, and Yuki replies he slept the whole time, so it wasn't bad. The driver smiles warmly, mentioning that even the Black Wolf pack didn't show up this time and wishes Yuki could ride forever. Yuki and Pochi respond with a proud bark. Yuki steps out of the carriage, marveling at the bustling city around him. He exclaims in awe that this is the big city. As Pochi trots alongside him, the streets are lively with townsfolk and market stalls, creating a vibrant atmosphere. Inside a building, two women notice Yuki and comment on how cute he is, pointing out his large backpack as a walking bag. One woman invites him to play, but Yuki quickly declines, remembering not to go with strangers. He dashes away, determined to stay cautious as he explores the new city. The boy squints at a map, wondering where the meeting place with Mr. Peter is. Suddenly, he spots the map in his backpack and excitedly calls out to Pochi. He finds the location marked as Good Kids Hall, but worries aloud that things might be really bad after all. The boy and Pochi look up in surprise as two men in a dimly lit room ask who they are. Their attention shifts to a young girl in a robe lying unconscious on the ground, prompting a shocked exclamation. Yuki and Pochi stare in shock at the unconscious girl lying on the ground, surrounded by two rough-looking men. One man shouts angrily at Yuki, demanding who he is. Yuki recognizes the men as the uncles Pochi was wary of and asks what they are doing. The men accuse Yuki and Pochi of being muggers, claiming the boy tried to strip the girl of everything. Yuki checks the girl and is relieved to find her breathing, but the men grow more aggressive. One man lunges forward, threatening to silence Yuki with a single hit. Yuki dodges nimbly, and Pochi barks fiercely. The attacker's expression shifts to confusion as Yuki evades the blow. Yuki leaps through the air, taunting the men to hold him down. The other man tries to calm the situation, telling Yuki to stay still, but Yuki's swift punches land cleanly. The two men clash in frustration. While Yuki watches silently, his strikes precise and unyielding. The boy darts through the air, effortlessly dodging the two men as he wonders if they are tired from their carriage ride. He compares this fight to playing tag with his master. Feeling this is much easier, the men grow frustrated, one calling the boy a brat. The boy lands nimbly and warns them to wait, preparing to take action himself. A cloaked figure suddenly appears, calling out to one of the men, Abel, and demands he not lay hands on a child. The two men apologize, lowering their aggression. The boy recognizes the cloaked man from the carriage and watches cautiously. The man calmly says, "Hey," as he steps forward. The cloaked man explains the girl lying unconscious is either hungry or out of mana and will wake up soon. He apologizes to the boy for the trouble caused by the two men. The boy is left confused, wondering what just happened. While the small dog barks, the group prepares to leave the alley. The boy kneels beside the girl, asking if she is okay. She slowly opens her eyes, looking around in confusion and asking where she is. The boy answers that they are in an alley in Tawanalite, but the girl struggles to remember. The dog stays close as the boy supports her gently. The girl suddenly vomits, apologizing for the mess, but the boy insists it's fine. He wonders if her condition is mana depletion and what might help her recover. Offering his hand, he asks if she can stand. She looks surprised as he explains that sharing mana is a healer's technique, amazed that he can do it at such a young age. The boy nervously introduces himself as Kanzaki Yuki, wondering if his ability is a gift from the goddess. The girl smiles warmly, introducing herself as Sakura Halcyon. She thanks him sincerely for saving her and asks if there is any way she can repay him. As they walk through the town, she listens as he explains he is lost and requests to be taken to the Peter statue. She notes he must have come from deep in the mountains, small but admirable. Yuki reflects bitterly on his collapse, calling himself useless compared to Sakura. He asks what kind of place Tawanalite is. Sakura explains it was once a barren land where nothing grew, but Sir Peter, a hero from the Granada's party, changed that. She adds that he discovered large deposits of a precious mineral called Evanium, imbued with ancient spirit's power, buried in great quantities. Yuki questions what Evanium is. Sakura describes it as spirit stone crystals formed from the accumulated power of ancient spirits, especially light and fire spirits. She says the discovery of Evanium veins brought hope as a new energy source after a release weakened the spirit's power, praising Sir Peter as a great legend. Sakura spreads her arms joyfully, drawing attention as Yuki and Pochi clap. Yuki tells her this isn't a spectacle. She confirms Tawanalite was created by Sir Peter and gestures towards something ahead. Yuki spots Sir Peter's statue, but then notices a man nearby who looks exactly like the statue. The man smiles warmly and waves at Yuki, who reacts with surprise and curiosity. A man wearing a straw hat warmly greets Yuki, extending his hand and asking if he is Lord Yuki. Yuki, surprised, hesitates to respond. Sakura urgently asks why Sir Peter is in such a place, while Yuki looks on in confusion. Sir Peter bows slightly and welcomes them to Tawanalite, mentioning he has heard about Yuki from Lady Lucy. Yuki marvels at how adults in this world are amazing, despite Peter's fame. No one seems to notice him, making Yuki wonder if he is hiding his presence. Peter then asks Sakura her name, prompting her to nervously introduce herself as Sakura Halcyon. He gently lifts Yuki, apologizing for the sudden movement, as the dog approaches. He invites Sakura to stop by his home anytime. Sakura, taken aback but polite, agrees. Peter insists on serving tea to the benefactor who guided Yuki, impressing Sakura with his smooth hospitality. The group walks through a lively town toward a building marked Peter's Helping Hand Shop. Yuki notes he can read the writing here too, attributing it to another perk from the goddess. Sir Peter opens the door, inviting them inside, while Sakura and Yuki politely excuse themselves to enter. Sir Peter praises their long journey, and Yuki promises to be in his care. Peter invites Sakura to help herself to the bread on the table. Yuki clutches the dog, realizing he must have been really hungry. A young woman rushes in, scolding her father for not waking her earlier. Peter checks the tea leaves as she hurries over, but the woman stops short, staring at Sakura and Yuki. She identifies Sakura as a novice saintess from the Musean Order. Sakura suddenly apologizes and excuses herself, claiming she remembered something urgent. Yuki asks Peter what's wrong with Sakura. Peter explains the Musean Order has various issues and promises to explain more when the time comes. Yuki reflects on how complicated the grown-up world is. The young woman introduces herself as Akino, Peter's daughter, and warmly greets Yuki and the dog. She says she'll be in their care starting today and feels at ease around the cute kid and dog. Akino offers to make tea now, smiling gently as Peter watches on. Sir Peter expresses relief that Yuki seems like a normal child, despite Lady Lucy finding him too much to handle alone. He explains that as a master, Lucy taught Yuki what she could, But deep in the mountains, only beasts and Olympia remain, so she can't teach more. Yuki reflects that his master thought through a lot for him. Akino begins listing the many requests their helping hand shop receives, including roof repairs, mediating marital spats, and mine tours. Akino adds cleaning holy aura pools and miasma as tasks she hopes to help with. Yuki feels hopeful that by assisting with many things, he might figure out how to cleanse the miasma in the Athos range. He eagerly asks if he can lend a hand, promising to work hard and learn a lot. Sir Peter and Akino warmly agree. Sir Peter looks forward to working with Yuki. He shares his recent realization about why two people became close again after the miasma scattered. They rarely spent time together before. Yuki listens intently as Peter explains that in the years after Yuki arrived, their letters showed renewed affection. Yuki understands now that he was the one who tied those two together again. He clenches his fists with determination, declaring that to him, they are special. The ones who raised him, his mothers he's proud of. He expresses his desire to find a way to eliminate the miasma for the sake of his mothers, believing they would be proud and praise him greatly if he succeeds. They agree to work hard together, but their conversation is interrupted when a man bursts in urgently, warning of big trouble. The man explains that his house, or manor, has turned into a monster mansion and pleads for their help. The air feels heavy and stagnant as they stand before the imposing mansion. Yuki recognizes it as the monster mansion, linked to Mr. Hilk. Determined, he insists they must handle this problem themselves. A man urgently enters, pleading for their help because his house has transformed into a monster mansion. Inside, Sir Peter calmly asks Mr. Hilk to explain what happened. Shocked, Yuki repeats the phrase monster mansion. Mr. Hilk reveals the manor he oversees has become a miasma pool, a space where the Demon King's negative energy accumulates. The previous tenant fled during the night. Mr. Hilk recounts how he tried cleaning between jobs, but beasts invaded and furniture turned into monsters. Though burning it down might end the problem quickly, the house holds deep personal memories, as it was left to him by his father. Sir Peter acknowledges Mr. Hilk's reasons thoughtfully. Yuki is gently touched on the head, drawing his attention. Sir Peter asks Yuki if he can take on this first job, explaining that Akino manages most practical work and he wants Yuki to support her. Surprised, Yuki hesitates, worried he might only cause anxiety since he's still just a 6-year-old. The mansion looms ominously behind them, underscoring the challenge ahead. Determined, the young boy resolves to take on the task since they've asked for help. He asks Ms. Akino what to do about a miasma pool. She smirks and confidently declares it requires a big clean-up, wielding a broom with purpose. Ms. Akino explains the plan. Improve ventilation and defeat beasts whose ecology has shifted due to the miasma, as well as monsters born from transformed furniture. The boy listens carefully, understanding that swift action is needed since even a short stay causes dizziness. The beasts this time are only bug level, according to Mr. Hilk. Armed with a broom and determination, the boy and Ms. Akino charge into the mansion, ready to clean. He believes that if it's like this, even he can handle it. They rush forward, prepared to tackle the infestation and restore order. The boy stretches as he opens windows to air out the stagnant room. Ms. Akino holds up a cleaning cloth, while the boy scrubs the floor and moves furniture. Their dog, alert and focused, paws at creeping tendrils of miasma spreading along the floor. Together, they begin the thorough cleaning needed to reclaim the mansion. The room sparkles with cleanliness as the boy declares it pretty clean now, his dog responding with a bark. Suddenly, a voice catches his attention, and he recognizes it. Ms. Akino and the boy stand in a long hallway, ready to move on to the next area. The boy hears a scream and dashes toward it, the dog following closely. A woman calls out to him urgently, but another voice warns to forget the nobles and run. The boy notices the miasma thickening nearby and Ms. Akino hurries after him. Books suddenly fly off shelves, their pages forming angry faces as they swirl menacingly above the boy. He reacts with shock, caught off guard by the animated, hostile books. The boy shouts in alarm, questioning what the flying books are. Ms. Akino explains that libraries often become miasma pools, spawning book-type monsters. The boy feels the onset of miasma dizziness and urges finding whoever is left behind quickly. As he leaps away, the dog barks, and Ms. Akino covers her mouth, overwhelmed by the spreading miasma. The boy calls out urgently to Ms. Sakura as hostile books with angry faces swirl around her. She screams in fear while shielding herself, and the boy rushes forward, pleading for forgiveness. Determined, the boy declares he will do something reckless as he leaps toward the flying books, dodging their attacks with swift agility. He kicks through the air, scattering the menacing books as he spins and lands beside Ms. Sakura, who remains crouched and vulnerable. Offering his hand, the boy gently asks if Ms. Sakura is okay. She nods tearfully, and Ms. Akino, catching her breath, warns that lingering any longer would be dangerous. The boy insists they leave quickly, helping Ms. Sakura to her feet. The group catches their breath outside the mansion, with the boy quietly thanking them for saving him. Ms. Akino asks why he isn't wearing a mask despite the miasma dizziness risk. The boy insists he's fine and wonders why he isn't affected. They decide to head home and report the miasma was worse than expected. Back at the house, a man expresses relief that everyone is safe after hearing what happened. Ms. Akino thanks Ms. Sakura for sharing her mana, which has helped her feel better. The boy asks why Ms. Sakura was at the manor. Ms. Sakura reveals she was there with her seniors from the order to capture beasts and monsters. But they were formidable. She acted as bait due to her strong mana, attracting the monsters. The boy is surprised by this revelation. She adds that even someone like her, whom she calls trash, has her uses. The man explains that to become a saintess, they must pay a heavy tribute to the Musean order. Some beasts and monsters fetch high prices on the black market. The boy learns trainees like Sakura must do tasks beyond saintess duties. Sakura admits she knows it's wrong but says it's all she can do. She explains she was born the seventh daughter of the Halcyon family, a minor noble house, but their household is hardly wealthy. Despite this, she has a lot of mana and entered the order hoping to help her family's finances. She believed that if she became a saintess, even a clumsy person like herself could heal illness, injury, and purify miasma. She thought she could be useful to people and really tried, but she couldn't meet the tribute quota. She's been breaking into the parting gift her parents gave her to pay it, and now even that has run out. The boy tells her to take her time, reassuring her it's okay. The man reveals a rumor that if you can't pay the tribute, even after becoming a saintess, you'll live as a trainee of the order for life. Among the townsfolk, some believe this is true. The boy calls her Ms. Sakura, and she reflects that to someone like her, worth less than dust and packed into a crack in the stairs, he was kind. She admits that someone as useless as her was saved by Lord Yuki, and she feels truly, truly happy. Her hand tightens on the armrest, showing her deep gratitude and resolve. Lord Yuki insists Sakura is not useless at all and calls her a kind person. He recalls how she stayed with him the entire time after he arrived in town, unsure of left from right. He also points out how she bought time for her seniors at the manor. He smiles warmly, telling her that someone like her, who can act for others, is absolutely wonderful. Sakura's eyes widen in surprise and awe at his words. In a quiet room, the man asks Sakura about herself, telling her not to speak so harshly. She struggles to speak through tears, but he gently reassures her that he understands, even if her situation isn't the same. The narration reflects on how slipping into the mindset of someone like me is easy and comfortable. Admitting the speaker used to be that way, the man and Ms. Akino tells Sakura she's a good person. Lord Yuki softly thanks her, touching her face as she cries, overwhelmed by the kindness. The boy wonders if there's anything he can do, then suddenly realizes an idea. He asks Mr. Peter if Sakura could help with cleaning the manor to regain her confidence. Mr. Peter agrees, noting Sakura's high mana means they could fulfill this request. Mr. Peter offers Sakura a reward if she helps clean the manor alongside two others. Sakura hesitates, doubting herself, but quickly brightens and eagerly agrees to help by all means. The group prepares to leave, gathering cleaning tools and supplies. With determination, they set off together toward the manor, ready to begin their task. The group stands before the imposing Hilk mansion as the leader calls everyone to action, urging them to clean thoroughly and efficiently. They decide to start with the back rooms where the miasma is thickest. The young boy curiously asks Ms. Akino about the glasses perched on her head, prompting her to explain. Ms. Akino adjusts her glasses and reveals they let her visualize the miasma, ensuring she won't miss even the tiniest bit. She observes that only around Yuki is the miasma being purified, making it easier to breathe near him. The woman explains that purification usually requires cleaning or holy water infused with the power of the Great Spirit. The boy listens intently, surprised by the concept of holy water. The narration reflects on the special water from the Great Spirit, noting that Yuki doesn't suffer from miasma sickness, making him a mysterious child. Three women happily offer Yuki water, food, and fresh fruit. The boy recalls drinking the delicious water and eating fruit grown with it every day, wondering if that could be the reason for his immunity. Back at the mansion, the group resumes cleaning with renewed energy. Yuki is asked if something is wrong, but he denies it. The trio enthusiastically agrees to make the place shine. Inside, Ms. Akino and the boy diligently clean, with the boy crawling on the floor and Ms. Akino shaking out a sheet where a small fox-like creature rests comfortably. The boy crawls on the floor, wiping the tiles with a cloth, his eyes wide and focused. Nearby, a woman in a veil and dress kneels, finishing her cleaning with a satisfied sigh as the floor sparkles around her. The boy watches the woman named Sakura working diligently, admiring her effort. He reflects on her serious and kind nature, feeling glad she was invited to help. Suddenly, Sakura spots a large spider and warns the boy urgently. The boy swiftly swats the spider away barehanded, surprising the women watching. He explains that spiders in the mountains were even bigger, trying to downplay the feat. The women react with disbelief and amazement at his strength. Sakura offers to share her mana to help the others, and the woman cleaning nearby expresses relief and gratitude. The boy smiles warmly, holding a small creature, as the woman with glasses encourages moving on to clean the remaining rooms now that she feels better. A chandelier in the entrance hall is covered in thick spider webs and large spiders. A woman with glasses and a girl wearing a veil discuss the last tough spot to clean. The woman asks what should be done about the chandelier. The boy confidently volunteers to handle it himself, launching into action. The boy swiftly climbs the chandelier, running and jumping across its frame. He starts swatting the spiders with quick, precise movements, taking them down in combos. The woman and the girl watch nervously from below. The woman praises the boy, telling the small fox that his master has been amazing all this time. The fox responds with a proud bark. The boy, the veiled girl, and the woman carefully clean the chandelier together, wiping away webs and dust. Once finished, they cheer joyfully, holding hands and celebrating the completion of the cleaning. The small fox joins in the excitement, raising a paw. Outside, a man in a suit thanks the group warmly, expressing that his late parents would be happy with the clean mansion. He apologizes for past neglect and urges them not to let it happen again. The man hands over their payment, which the woman accepts. The man then walks away, leaving the group standing together as the boy waves goodbye. The boy notes that Mr. Hilk seemed happy and the woman agrees, expressing her gladness. A man hands over payment to the boy and the woman, explaining that for the boy, Lucy requested deducting 10% for rent and meals so he can learn to manage money himself. While the rest is his to manage, the boy is surprised and delighted to receive anything at all. The woman gratefully accepts her payment, assuring it is more than enough. The man asks if it covers her contribution. He then adds he has one more report, though it is after the fact. He explains that regarding the purification of the Hilk mansion, they reported to the Museum Church that it was the woman alone who completed it, which shocks the woman. The woman humbly insists she only helped a little, while the man clarifies that Peter's Odd Jobs is an unofficial jack-of-all-trades group. He says they don't need official credit, as long as they solve the problems of those who rely on them. He adds it helps them too if the accomplishment is recorded as hers this time. The man and the woman ask her if she could continue helping them from time to time, praising how quickly the request was finished thanks to her presence. The boy nods in agreement, but the woman hesitates. The man warmly thanks her, calling it a huge help. While the boy holds the small fox close, the woman quietly clenches her hands, moved by their words. The woman tearfully admits she's never been needed by others like this before and begs to keep helping from now on. A gentle voice tells her not to cry again, and she apologizes quietly. The next day, the boy wanders through a bustling market, pondering what to buy. His eyes widen in surprise as he spots a clockwork doll that dances when it gathers sunlight. An elderly vendor explains the doll's charm, and the boy notices a glowing fragment of Evanium. Memories of his parents flash vividly as he recognizes the doll's figures resemble them. With a determined smile, he decides to buy it, thanking the vendor warmly. Clutching the doll, he wonders if his parents will be happy with this present bought from his very first paycheck. A woman asks if he found something good, and he replies affirmatively, while the small fox beside him barks happily. The boy's stomach growls as the enticing scent of grilled meat fills the air. The woman points out a grilled meat stall where fresh bone-in meat is roasted to a golden brown. Smiling warmly, she offers to splurge on a big one as a treat for his first job and to celebrate arriving in town, then hurries off to buy it while he agrees excitedly. The boy reflects on how, since arriving in this world, the best food he's had was his mother Olympia's fruit, but everything else, like bean soup with skins, dusty bread, tasted bland or too salty. Sitting on a bench with the small fox, he eagerly anticipates his first fresh, bone-in meat. Feeling thrilled, a woman approaches, apologizing for the wait. The woman returns with the grilled meat, handing a piece to the pup and another to the boy. She encourages him to eat it while it's still hot. The boy bites into the meat, surprised by its smaller size but delighted by the delicious flavor. The woman also enjoys her portion, both savoring the treat together as the fox happily wags its tail. The woman explains fresh meat is hard to get because the miasma makes raising animals or plants difficult, except in windy lands where it doesn't settle. The boy vows to work hard until the miasma clears so they can buy more. They agree to wait for that day, and the boy quietly resolves to eat the meat gratefully, noting the salt is a bit light, while the fox eagerly devours its share. A woman and a boy sit quietly on a bench while two women in robes walk by, whispering about a noble who purified a miasma pool. They note the robes match Sakura's and reveal she is a saint in training of the Musean Church. They mention the branch leader's good mood holding the report but complain that if the work was easy, Sakura wouldn't have been left behind. They lament the lack of valuable things and the miasma, wondering how Sakura managed with so many monsters around. The boy listens as the two robed women speculate that the noble probably pulled strings to have someone else do the work, envying the ease of having a family name. The boy silently contemplates this, petting the small fox beside him. He thinks the conversation was likely about Sakura and acknowledges her efforts reached the church, but something still weighs on him. The boy hugs the fox tightly, troubled by the envy Sakura faces simply because she comes from a noble family, despite her hard work. He finds it unpleasant and wonders if there is a way for her to be more properly recognized. Meanwhile, two girls wearing leaf hats look on thoughtfully near a peaceful house by the water. A woman named Olympia floats above a miasma pool, tearfully asking how long she must continue waiting for Yuki to appear. A man with a scar comments on the spirit telescope and the lack of spirit-filled waters due to miasma everywhere. Olympia laments that the Musean Church has monopolized the sacred springs. The man quietly utters the church's name and calls out Yuki's name with concern. A man announces he is going out for a bit, prompting a woman to ask where he is headed. He replies that he is going to check on Yuki's situation, his expression serious and determined. A horse-drawn carriage travels along a winding path through a vast field of tall grass and wildflowers, framed by distant snow-capped mountains. A boy and a small fox peer out from the carriage, eyes wide with wonder as they take in the scenery. The boy remarks to the fox that the landscape looks different from their first visit to Tawanalite. A man driving the carriage notes they are nearing the village. A woman in a white robe asks the girl named Sakura to explain the request to everyone before they arrive. Sakura nods, preparing to share details about their task. Sakura reveals their destination is the mountain near Tuka village, where a miasma pool has appeared. She warns that ferocious red tusk boars have been multiplying there. Although a skilled hunter has been pushing them back, he is nearing his limit. So the village asked the church for help, instead of exterminating the beasts. Sakura explains they plan to build protective fences around the fields. The boy questions if that will be their entire mission. The man driving the carriage clarifies they are just a stopgap. Tawanalite is arranging actual beast hunters. The woman with braided hair explains that hunters capable of handling red tusk boars have existed since the Demon King era, specifically the Brooks hunting party. She adds that Lord Brooks defeated the Demon King and fought alongside the Granada squad. The boy listens intently, the fox quietly responding with a soft woof. She explains that although Lord Brooks' feats are often overshadowed by Lord Granada's legends, like slaying the Fenrir, his valor is renowned worldwide. The boy hopes to meet Lord Brooks, a hero on par with the one who felled the demon, during this job. The woman adds that since the request came through her cooperation, part of Tawanalite's donation will go to the church. The boy, holding the fox, wonders if he'll meet everyone's idol, Lord Granada, someday. The woman beams with happiness, saying she's finally able to repay everyone a little. The boy smiles warmly, holding the fox. The man driving the carriage notices Tuka village in the distance. Suddenly, the sound of charging beasts erupts as the red tusk boars appear, startling the man. The boy calls out to the fox, Pochi, who happily barks and leaps forward. The woman warns Pochi that it's dangerous as he runs off. The carriage continues on. The group tense as the boars charge nearby, their noise filling the air. The group inside the carriage reacts with worry as the boar sounds grow louder. The boy leaps from the carriage, calling out to Pochi. The fox happily barks back, ready to face whatever lies ahead. A pile of defeated red tusk boars lies motionless, with the fox Pochi sitting alert beside them. The boy praises Pochi, calling him amazing, while the nearby adults watch with mixed relief and surprise. Suddenly, a barrel rolls toward them, forcing the boy to leap back in alarm. The boy spots one last boar still standing and shouts in alarm. The muscular man swings a large weapon to strike it, but the boy rushes forward to intervene. The boar's attack narrowly misses the man, who grimaces in pain. The boy is thrown into the air by the boar's charge, flipping upside down. The man watches anxiously as the boy lands safely and asks if he is okay. The boy smiles and calls out to the man, showing no signs of injury. The man recognizes the boy as the same brat from before and demands to know why he is in the village. He warns the boy not to tell anyone about what happened in Tawanalite and orders everyone to stay back. Insisting the situation is dangerous, the villagers express concern, but the man reassures them. He questions the boy again about his presence in the village. A woman questions if their help is truly needed, suggesting Pochi and Yuki might suffice. A man insists the people of Tuka village must handle things themselves, urging to set up fences. Another man, muscular and bald, scoffs at the group, calling them a mismatched bunch of a kid, women, and an old man. He asks if they are the beast hunters, then confirms the man with the fur hat has been driving off the red tusk boars. The muscular man admits it with a grunt. The muscular man explains he returned to the sticks after being fired from his job in Tawanalite. The boy questions if that means highway robbery. The man says he's lucky to have come home. Two others greet him, one calling him mighty, and another complaining about his smell. They welcome him back to the village. The muscular man, named Abel, is confronted by the others. He angrily asks if he's fired, but they say the point was to stop acting alone. They mention Mai's friend, which surprises Abel. The boy watches the growing crowd and thinks the situation is getting messy. The boy reflects that at times like this, the adults aren't pulling together. He admits that as a kid, he's forgiven for not reading the room. But the only one who can settle this now is himself. He clenches his fist with determination, declaring that the one to fix things is him. The crowd hesitates, unsure how to respond, as the boy steps forward boldly, demanding to know what exactly is going on and insisting he be allowed to sort things out. The small dog barks affirmatively, adding weight to his plea. Mai explains that they only borrow travel money and food from well-off travelers, never harming church trainees. Abel is sternly warned to apologize if he understands and not to repeat his mistake. The girl, grateful despite not recalling the details, credits Yuki for saving her. She firmly commands an end to highway robbery and theft, urging everyone to work honestly. The man with the straw hat reveals their plan to set traps to keep red tusk boars out of the fields, showing a net rope that emits light and vibrations those boars dislike, made from scrap ivanium. Abel skeptically questions if such a net can stop a red tusk boar, but the crowd watches as the net traps one in a flurry of movement. Mai praises the method learned from Yuki, and the girl beams with pride. The boy stands amazed, the villagers impressed by the top-class trainee's ingenuity. The girl shyly laughs, explaining that her knowledge of electric fences came from her grandpa's rural life, which helped Aquino figure out the trap's mechanism. Encouraged, Aquino urges everyone to start installing the trap immediately. Nearby, the boy and his dog prepare the area with bones, while villagers carry logs from a cart to set up the trap. The scene shifts to the fields where villagers work together, driving stakes into the ground. The girl praises the boy's dog, calling him mighty, which makes the muscular man smile, feeling energized despite their hard labor. The muscular man questions the girl, asking if she fears them after all they've done to strip her of everything. She smiles gently, saying she isn't scared and will train harder to become a fine saint. The man acknowledges her soft heart and encourages her future growth, while she nervously denies being that great. The group resolves to work through the night to finish the trap quickly so everyone can feel safe sooner. They plan to light fires and take turns on night watch, but the boy advises sleeping properly since fires can attract beasts. The man agrees, instructing them to avoid light leaks on the mountainside. As they dim the lights and end the day's work, the boy and villagers prepare to resume tomorrow. The muscular man praises the boy, calling him amazing and acknowledging his deep knowledge of the mountains. The boy smiles warmly, revealing he grew up there. He sits quietly, holding a barrel, observing the lively crowd around him. A cloaked figure approaches and asks to sit beside the boy. He apologizes for the past and thanks the boy for lending strength to the others. The figure reveals he has made up his mind and intends to leave the group behind. The boy looks up, curious, asking what he means. The cloaked figure explains he has his reasons, showing a close-up of his unique eyes. The boy reacts with surprise, questioning why. The figure reveals his eyes are special, able to see people's abilities. Meanwhile, the villagers laugh and enjoy themselves, confident they will manage without him. The cloaked figure expresses gratitude to the boy for helping him reach this decision. The boy, holding his dog, reflects quietly, acknowledging this is what adult circumstances feel like. The scene pulls back to show the village, where the muscular man and another villager greet the cloaked figure, asking what's going on. The cloaked figure declares that he and the others must part ways here. The muscular man and the older villager stare in shock. The cloaked figure grips his cloak and begins to walk away as the two call out to him, urging him to stop. The muscular man demands to know what is going on, reminding the cloaked figure they were comrades. The older villager adds that the past is behind them and that the cloaked figure now holds an important place. They note how much more relaxed and happy he seems compared to their time working together in the city. The cloaked figure walks away as a wagon creaks nearby. The muscular man insists the cloaked figure must live straight and invites him to come along. The figure responds that he has no place to return to. Unlike them, he urges them to use their strength for their hometown. The two men watch silently as he climbs into the wagon, while the boy holding his dog looks on thoughtfully. The muscular man remarks that Abel is gone now, And the older villager agrees quietly. The muscular man laughs awkwardly. Noting even the boy witnessed their shameful moment, the boy holding his dog hesitates, unsure how to respond. The muscular man reaches out to gently pat the boy's head. Assuring him it's fine, the older villager smiles, agreeing that all they can do is do their best so that next time the three of them can reunite. The muscular man suggests continuing to work on the traps they started yesterday after breakfast, and the older villager and boy respond positively. A woman calls out excitedly, having finally found the boy and his dog. The boy invites his dog to come along as they prepare to leave. Nearby, the woman and a man greet the boy warmly but complain about how terrible the morning is. Suddenly, the woman's expression turns serious as she announces that Sakura is missing. The boy reacts with shock as the woman explains she was in the same room as Sakura at the inn last night but found her gone in the morning. Assuming she had left earlier, the man reveals that his father found Sakura's staff behind the inn. Despite searching and calling out, Sakura was nowhere to be found. The man stresses that the staff is important and she wouldn't leave it lying around carelessly. The boy and his dog absorb the grim news that Miss Sakura is missing. The man and woman express disbelief, insisting she wouldn't abandon her duties or leave without her staff. The boy's unease grows into a deep, foreboding feeling about the situation. A flashback reveals Sakura waking early, still sleepy but determined. She shakes off her drowsiness, resolves to focus, and prepares to work hard for the people of Tuka village. Sakura encounters a stranger and hesitantly asks his identity. The man reveals he is here for the monster subjugation and declines her offer to introduce him to the villagers. Suddenly, the man strikes Sakura with a powerful punch, catching her completely off guard. A man accuses the self-righteous apprentice of barging into the mountains without permission, stirring up monsters, and throwing the village into chaos. The apprentice, lying on the ground, apologizes and explains he was just following a script from his employer. The man looks down at the apprentice, calling her Yuki. Yuki is carried away by the man as she weakly calls for help. Back in the village, a young woman shouts for Sakura, urging her to answer if she's there. The boy asks his dog Pochi if it can smell Sakura's scent, and the dog barks in response. Villagers call out for Sakura, searching anxiously. Smoke rises from the mountain, alarming everyone. A man asks if something was found, and another exclaims that smoke is coming from the mountain. The boy realizes it's a forest fire and reacts with shock. The boy recalls that the smoke is a flushing smoke used to drive out monsters, warning Yuki never to use it near human settlements. He panics, realizing the monsters will be driven down from the mountain and into the village. A muscular man looks confused as the boy urgently explains the danger. Panic erupts as a man demands to know who set off the smoke signal, while a boy urgently warns that monsters are descending and will arrive soon. A woman pleads to reinforce traps and fences, and a man orders everyone to stay calm and evacuate the children to the other side of the village. A muscular man rallies others, promising to buy time for the villagers to escape. The villagers prepare with weapons and tools, while the boy watches anxiously, wishing his master were present. His dog Pochi barks, sensing the danger. The boy feels a strange flow of energy entering his mind, wondering if he can use his full power. He questions if the voice he hears is Pochi's, as the dog looks up at him with wide eyes. The boy commands Pochi to act, and the dog responds with a powerful, glowing roar. The boy braces himself, tears in his eyes, as he summons all his strength to face the looming threat. The boy watches in awe as his glowing, majestic dog Pochi lets out a clear bark, the energy around them shimmering softly. His wide eyes reflect wonder and determination as he reaches out toward the creature. Pochi gently grabs the boy by the collar, steadying him as the boy exclaims in surprise. The dog howls a powerful call, inviting the boy to climb on. The boy hesitates but then asks if he should hold on, to which Pochi responds with another bark. Villagers ready their weapons, shouting warnings that the red-fang boar is charging down the mountain. The boy and Pochi hear the distant howls as a pack of black wolves emerges from the forest, eyes glowing ominously in the shadows. The boy atop Pochi notices movement from the other side of the village and questions what it could be. Villagers brace themselves as the black wolves rush forward, forcing people to take cover. The wolves surge toward the village, bringing fresh danger at the worst possible moment. A man turns sharply, alarmed by the thunderous approach of black wolves. He questions the chaos as the black wolves clash fiercely with the charging red-fang boar. The boy atop the glowing white wolf, Pochi, responds to the man's question, denying being a monster tamer. The man stares up at the boy and the wolf, surprised and uncertain. The boy clings to Pochi, explaining that thanks to the wolf, they are safe for now. He asks if Pochi will take him to Miss Sakura, to which the wolf barks affirmatively. The man, raising an axe, commands others to leave the village defense to them and orders a search for the apprentice girl. The boy eagerly agrees to go and leaps forward. His determination clear, Pochi bursts into a swift run, launching into the air with the boy on his back. Villagers watch in awe as the wolf takes flight, racing toward their destination. The boy, wide-eyed and exhilarated, exclaims at the incredible speed as Pochi dashes through the air. He calls out, asking if Miss Sakura is ahead, while the wolf races on with powerful strides, leaving the villagers behind in amazement. The boy urges Pochi to be safe as they approach the thickening smoke from the spreading fire. He asks if Pochi is all right, and the wolf responds with a soft bark. The boy notes the smoke's intensity, realizing even the king of beasts finds it overwhelming. The boy dismounts and tells Pochi to wait while he searches for Miss Sakura. He calls out to her, growing increasingly anxious as he moves through the forest, straining to hear any response. Suddenly, the boy spots Miss Sakura collapsed on the ground and rushes to her side, calling out for her to hang on. Nearby, armored men notice the boy and question what a child is doing there. The men approach with hostile intent, giving off a bad vibe. The boy nervously claims Miss Sakura is his friend, but one man mocks him and lunges forward to strike, shouting that the boy will be put to sleep too. The boy launches himself into the air, striking an armored man with a powerful kick that sends him flying. The men shout in shock, demanding to grab the boy, but he nimbly dodges their attacks, countering with swift kicks that knock them back. A tall, stern knight arrives, demanding an explanation from the boy. The boy, carrying the unconscious Miss Sakura on his back, apologizes as he heaves her up. The knight surveys the fallen men and questions the commotion, his gaze sharp and commanding. The boy's worry deepens as he realizes the situation is dire. He urges Miss Sakura to hold on while they must flee for their lives. The knight watches them prepare to escape, his expression unreadable but tense. The boy and Miss Sakura struggle to move quickly through the forest, gasping for breath. The knight stands firm, watching them with a cold gaze. He acknowledges the boy's skill in humiliating his men, but declares he will take the girl, stating he has a job to do, leaving the boy and Miss Sakura uncertain if they can get away. The boy stands defiantly before the armored knight, declaring he won't let him take his unconscious friend. The knight admits he doesn't know what they're after but insists she is his friend. He sighs, troubled by the situation. The knight raises his fist threateningly, calling the boy a brat but finds him interesting. He warns he'll put the boy to sleep right here. The boy clenches his fists tightly, bracing for the attack. Suddenly, a confident woman steps out from the bushes, addressing the knight by name, Yuki, and remarks on the fuss he's making. The boy looks surprised while Yuki the knight appears shocked by her arrival. A man in armor comments on the commotion, noting someone is making a splash. The boy calls out to Yuki, who turns sharply, his expression tense. The boy excitedly calls him master. The armored man demands to know why Yuki is here, shocked by the unexpected arrival. Yuki quietly says the name Lucy as a woman approaches with the boy, confirming her identity. The woman steps forward confidently, introducing herself as Lucy Granadas. The boy's eyes widen in awe as she stands tall and imposing. Her name echoes in the boy's mind, filling him with wonder. The armored man questions if Yuki and Lucy know each other, condemning Yuki for laying hands on a child. Yuki confirms their connection, calling Lucy his master. He states he cannot leave Yuki alone, revealing his loyalty. The boy's face lights up with admiration, overwhelmed that his master is the legendary hero Granadas. The boy marvels at being raised by someone so incredible. Yuki warns to step back with the girl, sensing danger. The boy obediently agrees while carrying the unconscious Miss Sakura. Yuki mocks the armored man, calling him a desperate man trying to look big despite his reputation as the mercenary king. The tension between the two men remains palpable as the boy clings to his friend. The older man demands silence, boasting he survived the Demon Lord era by sheer strength and clawing his way up. The younger warrior counters, insisting the truly strong perished in that era, shown battling a massive dragon. He swings his sword fiercely, challenging the old man's claim. The younger warrior, bloodied and exhausted, confirms that all the strong ones died. He stands amid fallen foes, then turns to confront a group, accusing them of hunting monsters and extorting rewards through intimidation. His sharp gaze pierces the crowd as he calls out their corruption. The older man reacts with shock and anger as the younger warrior accuses him of hiring thugs to bully an apprentice of the Musean Order. The older man roars, ordering the younger to shut up and calling him a washed-up retiree who should stay out of the spotlight. The tension escalates as the older man lashes out. Clenching his teeth, the older man declares his era has come at last and swings his weapon aggressively, commanding the younger warrior to lurk in the shadows where he belongs. The younger warrior stands firm, eyes wide with resolve, ready to face the challenge despite the older man's fury. The younger warrior lunges fiercely, closing the distance with a swift strike. His blade gleams as he grips it tightly, eyes sharp and focused. The older man raises his sword to block, bracing for impact. The clash of steel echoes as the younger warrior presses the attack, moving with fluid precision. The older man struggles to keep up, sweat and shock visible on his face. A powerful blow lands, staggering the older man backward. The younger warrior stands tall, his cape billowing as he surveys the fallen opponent. Nearby, a young observer watches in awe, realizing the overwhelming strength before them. Memories flash of the warrior's previous feats, confirming this power is far from ordinary. The older man collapses to the ground, groaning in pain. The younger warrior approaches calmly, questioning the value of relying on others' strength. She declares there is no front or back in this fight, challenging the idea of leeching off others as a way to survive. A figure in a white cloak walks away from a fallen person, warning not to show children something so pathetic. The cloaked figure approaches a young girl and a small creature, who call her master. She smiles warmly, apologizing for the wait and inviting them to go home. The scene shifts to the bustling Tuka village plaza, where villagers cheer loudly. A muscular man strikes a defeated red tusk boar with a hammer, declaring only one remains. The crowd rallies, energized by the hunt's progress. A woman and a man call out to a large figure nicknamed Mr. Stinky, signaling him over. The man raises his hand, shouting approval. As the group prepares for the final stage of their effort, a net is set up, ready for the last catch. The villagers celebrate as the last red fang boar is trapped, confirming the subjugation is complete. The woman and girl return, waving and announcing their arrival back to everyone, their expressions bright with success. A man urgently asks the child and Miss Sakura if they are safe. The child excitedly declares their master has come to save them. As a woman carrying another on her back approaches, the man and another bystander react with surprise, questioning the mention of a master. The younger man calls out to Captain Granadas, clearly recognizing him. The group, including the muscular man and others, exchange awkward glances. The woman carrying the girl laughs nervously while the child stands confidently beside her and their small companion. The crowd murmurs in awe, whispering about the arrival of the great hero. The scene shifts to a large boar roasting over a fire, with villagers gathered around. A woman with braided hair busily tends to the fire while others sit nearby. Suddenly, hands raise mugs in a toast, declaring it's time to celebrate their victory. Miss Sakura expresses deep gratitude, calling Yuki her benefactor and thankful for the legendary Granada's help. The child happily affirms relief that Miss Sakura is safe. While the small creature barks, a woman cheerfully announces to the gathered children that the roasting is finished, inviting them to enjoy the feast. A woman announces a whole roast red fang boar is ready, urging everyone to eat as much as they want. The children and the small companion cheer excitedly. Juices overflow from the perfectly browned meat as the two children eagerly bite into their servings, savoring every bite. The girl and boy enjoy the meat, commenting on its deliciousness despite the salt being a little light. The boy craves the rich, junky seasoning they once had. As they eat, they gaze at the starry sky, hoping to encounter that flavor again while recalling their recent battle dispelling the miasma. Nearby, two men raise mugs in a toast, laughing warmly. One asks about his daughter, praising her as almost too good and a key figure for building a second-generation town. The other man jokes she's the spitting image of his younger self and oozes good fortune, while the woman shyly asks not to be called a key figure. The man reflects on his luck, crediting Lord Yuki's presence for their recent success. The scarred man admits surprise at the prodigy child's rapid growth, noting how Akimo matured in a flash. The group shares a laugh, with the woman warning not to drink too much, and the children agreeing that even she can't scold Captain Granadas. The boy asks if Master Peter is drinking water properly, offering mugs with a smile. Peter thanks him as the boy climbs onto his lap. The scarred man calls Yuki over, asking if he can talk for a bit. Yuki looks surprised but attentive. The scarred man praises Yuki for how much he's grown in the short time apart, calling his progress splendid. Yuki humbly denies knowing about being splendid, but insists he's doing his best. The man smiles warmly and pats Yuki's head, who giggles happily. The scarred man warns Yuki that the same danger might come again, urging him to fight seriously when needed, saying true strength is using power for others. Yuki agrees eagerly. Nearby, another man asks Peter about the investigation into the Musean Order. Peter smiles and acknowledges the question. The men reflect on lessons learned from Sakura about the Order's tribute payments, noting they add hefty sums on top of official demands, squeezing apprentices and lower-ranked saintesses. They mention many have quit compared to other branches. Peter confirms this with a thoughtful expression, agreeing it's as expected. The man with the straw hat warns it might be darker than expected. The scarred man acknowledges with thanks. Yuki wonders if the master and others have been investigating the Musean order all along. The man with the hat explains he's doing it at Lady Lucy's request. Yuki admires the adult's dedication, and the scarred man asks Yuki to confirm. The scarred man asks to borrow Yuki a little longer, who agrees but asks why. An older man tells them Olympia wants to meet Yuki and to bring the young apprentice along to the Musean Order's Twilight branch. Yuki reacts with surprise but agrees. The scene shifts to the Musean Order's Twilight branch, where several saintesses whisper among themselves. A nun approaches and asks what brings them there and who the children are. The scarred man carries Yuki and the young apprentice as they enter the building, drawing shocked looks from the saintesses. A man with glasses reacts with alarm as a paw suddenly slaps his face, startling him. Inside the Grand Cathedral, the sound of chanting echoes through the vast hall. Captain Granadas approaches a bishop, placing a reassuring hand on the shoulder of a young girl dressed in a saintly robe holding a staff, while the young apprentice and a small fox-like creature stand beside them. With a warm smile, the captain addresses the bishop, politely asking if they might borrow a little of his time. Captain Granadas, the young apprentice, and a saintly woman politely address a stern bishop, requesting a moment of his time. The apprentice notices a mysterious spring nearby, feeling a wave of nostalgia. The captain smiles gently as the woman eagerly asks what he intends to do next. The bishop reacts with alarm as Captain Granadas demands the return of the tribute extorted from the saintesses, presenting undeniable evidence. The bishop stammers, shocked by the accusation. The saintly woman explains they are heirs to the will of the lost spirits, lamenting how the world has become saturated with miasma since the hero Granadas defeated the demon lord. The bishop boasts arrogantly that they are the light of the earth and embodiment of the great spirit's will, claiming the lord of the mines is absent and that protecting the city costs them dearly. The bishop coldly insists outsiders should stay out of their affairs, questioning if apprentice Sakura brought them in. Whispers among the saintesses express disapproval, calling for their removal. Captain Granadas senses the situation is worsening as the bishop questions whether the Great Spirit would allow such outrage. Captain Granadas questions the mention of the Great Spirit, his expression calm but curious. The bishop narrows his eyes, then commands them to hurry up if they truly understand the Great Spirit's will. The saintly woman and Miss Sakura stand ready, the bishop asking what they say in response. The bishop's face shifts to confusion as he awaits their answer. Suddenly, a bubbling sound erupts, drawing everyone's attention. Miss Sakura clutches her pet, startled by the noise. The saintesses cover their ears, disturbed by the strange sound filling the room. Captain Granadas and the others stand firm amid the growing commotion. The bubbling intensifies, swirling around the saintesses, revealing their legs as water-like energy envelopes them. Miss Sakura gasps in awe, overwhelmed by the sight. The saintesses appear ethereal, their forms shimmering with the mysterious liquid. The scene radiates a surreal, almost magical atmosphere. The saintly woman condemns those who borrow the name of the spirits to satisfy their own greed. Her voice filled with righteous anger, she declares this act supremely lamentable, her aura blazing with divine light. The glowing energy swirls fiercely around her, emphasizing the gravity of her words. The water of the spring transforms into the motherly figure, radiating a magical aura that captivates all. The bishop, overwhelmed, acknowledges the Great Spirit's descent, noting such a sign hasn't appeared since the Demon Lord era. The saintly woman expresses sorrow over this rare event, while the saintesses emphasize the unprecedented nature of the occurrence. The motherly spirit pleads for forgiveness and calls upon the faithful who strive to improve the world, granting them benevolence. The saintly woman mentions Olympia's wish to see the bishop's face, revealing Peter's concern about the order's corruption and their decision to seek her aid. The bishop contemplates the situation, pondering the implications of this while we're at it. Intervention. The saintly woman hopes the spirit's intervention will save Miss Sakura and the others, especially urging kindness toward the child she dearly loves. The bishop is taken aback by this revelation, his expression a mix of surprise and concern as the child stands quietly beside him, the pet alert. Shock ripples through the group as the bishop stammers, questioning if the child is truly the Great Spirit's beloved. The motherly spirit affectionately acknowledges the young lady nearby, noting their growing bond. The saintly woman softly addresses the child as most dearly beloved, highlighting the deep connection between them as the group watches in stunned silence. The Great Spirit condemns those who demean her beloved children, warning that punishment will come through her messenger, Lucy. She silences the bishop and the saintly woman, accusing them of endangering innocent people. The saintly woman urges Lucy to take charge, while the bishop, overwhelmed, is told to listen about Brooks. The Great Spirit turns her attention to the young lady nearby, asking her name. The child, Sakura Halcyon, responds with awe and excitement. The spirit, smiling warmly, asks Sakura to take special care of her child from now on. Sakura, breathless and amazed, wonders if the Great Spirit is truly speaking to her and praises Yuki as an amazing person. The saintesses and others bow deeply, pledging to act solely according to the Great Spirit's will. The child looks on, confused, as the spirit fidgets uneasily, lamenting that she cannot embrace Yuki in this manifested form. The spirit cries out in loneliness, expressing a deep desire to meet the real Yuki. The child softly calls her mom, while the scene shifts to a peaceful domestic setting where a woman pours tea, remarking on how satisfying the events were. The child reflects on how the legend of Granadas is still taken seriously in the world. A woman serving tea remarks that some people haven't changed since the old days. A man explains that Lady Lucy's martial arts and Lady Olympia's spirit power made their battle with the demon lord unbelievably fierce. The child considers that this world has a demon lord, magical beasts, spirits like Mother, and people who use a secret healing art. The child imagines Mother performing a dazzling, fantasy-like healing technique that shares mana between people. The child recalls that Miss Sakura mentioned she has mana too. Turning to the adults, the child addresses Mr. Peter, pondering this connection. The child asks if magic exists in this world, prompting surprise from the adults. They exchange confused looks as the child seeks clarity about the presence of magic. Mr. Peter confirms magic exists but is more commonly called sorcery. He explains mana varies by person and is the energy everyone possesses. Using sorcery involves converting mana to produce fire, light, and other phenomena, but it requires vast mana and harsh training, so only a few can use it. The child wonders if sorcery differs from the Evanium used in town. The woman begins explaining how Twanalite became a great city thanks to the spirit stones producing Evanium. She holds a lantern, emphasizing that Evanium's value lies in allowing even those who can't use sorcery to cause sorcery-like phenomena. The child watches intently, holding a glowing object with the cat, and then nods in understanding. The man adds that sorcerers once had many places to work, but with Evanium technology advancing, their numbers have dwindled. Many with mana now join the Musean Order or the Monster Hunting Guild. The child wonders if he could also learn to use sorcery. Pondering the possibility, the man hesitates, considering the question carefully. The man suggests that if the child had a teacher, he knows one sorcerer who comes to mind. The woman asks if he means someone specific, and the man describes Lady Rilke, the Granada Squad's court sorcerer. She is known for her prophetic that saw the demon lord's advent centuries ago. An image of Lady Rilke in a magical circle appears as he speaks. The child excitedly realizes Lady Rilke must be one of the magic-wielding races. Like an elf, the woman asks if they can meet her, but the man tries to calm them down, telling them to hold their cups. The child is overwhelmed, nearly knocking over the tea, while the adults watch with concern. The boy cautiously touches a glowing table, while the man explains it was a congratulatory gift from Lady Rilke, containing a hidden mechanism. The boy and woman watch in awe as the table shimmers mysteriously. Suddenly, the boy screams in horror as the saintly woman's head is severed by an unseen force, her body limp and lifeless. The boy's terrified expression contrasts with the brutal scene. The saintly woman's head pops up from the table, smiling warmly and greeting the children. The boy and the others are frozen in shock, trembling and scared. The man calmly addresses Lady Rilke, acknowledging her return after a long time. Lady Rilke twirls gracefully, surrounded by sparkling magic, apologizing for frightening the children. The man asks her not to scare his kids too much, while the woman and boy watch her with mixed emotions. The boy reaches out hesitantly, amazed he can touch the saintly woman's leg. She asks why he acts so suddenly and explains that his ability to be affected from his side is proof of the magic power he possesses. She confirms he is the boy who wishes to learn sorcery, leaving him shyly thanking her. She praises his vast mana, soul, and intellect as sufficient, and notes his wishes and current worries are fascinating. She smiles, saying this will be worth forging, and hints at a special kind of sorcery. The saintly woman conjures a magical circle on the table, delighting the boy. She demonstrates by summoning a bottle of soy sauce, explaining he can call things from other worlds like this. The boy excitedly repeats the name, amazed. She tells him he has a prodigious gift, with imagination and memory strong enough to sustain materialization. She warns that fulfilling his dreams will be difficult as he is now, but if he truly seeks to learn sorcery, she will help him. The boy's eyes widen with surprise and hope as he looks toward a distant, grand building sparkling in the light. The girl with the elaborate twin curls and flower-adorned dress sits confidently on a chair, declaring firmly that she will be waiting there for him. Pochi, the small dog, urges his master to hurry home as they walk along a mountain path. The boy smiles, eager to see his mother soon. While Pochi excitedly looks forward to meeting his ancient kin, the two travelers continue their journey, reflecting that it has been half a year since leaving the mountains, and this is their first homecoming in a long while. A few days earlier, a woman with large curled hair sits on a chair inside a modest room, inviting the boy and his guardian to visit her tower anytime if he wishes to learn magic. The boy asks if it's a magic school, and the man explains it is the Alberthia Royal Academy, which has a magic department. The woman promises that if he comes, the magic he wishes to master will be within reach, but their conversation is interrupted by a voice calling out, "Pardon the intrusion, Peter." The woman, Lady Rilke, suddenly remembers an errand and says she'll send someone later. The boy looks confused. While a woman named Lady Lucy announces she has finished tidying up safely, the man thanks her, then wonders aloud why Lady Rilke came, noting he rarely sees her. The boy explains that Lady Rilke just invited him to a magic school, leaving the man deep in thought. The man asks if the boy will study magic under Lady Rilke. Sensing the boy's hesitation, he assures him there is nothing to agonize over and encourages him to do what he wants. The man adds that if the Royal Academy sends for him, it will take some time and that Olympia has been wanting to see him, suggesting he go home to think it over. The boy agrees enthusiastically, promising to consider it seriously. The boy and his dog prepare to leave, urged to hurry back since Olympia has been waiting anxiously. The dog happily asks if they are returning to the mountain, and the boy smiles, agreeing that he's happy too. The dog promises to run a lot, and the boy's smile deepens as he senses something. Suddenly, the boy realizes he can understand the dog's words. The mountain range looms ahead as the boy is told to show how much he's grown in half a year. A large, crystal-covered dragon-like creature appears, and the boy nervously asks if he must face it alone. The boy asks the dog for help if anything happens, and the dog agrees. The boy draws his weapon, determined, recalling that although he couldn't defeat an abnormal individual half a year ago, he is leveled up. Now able to understand the dog's words, he hopes to succeed this time. With a shout, the boy charges forward, swinging his weapon with fierce resolve as leaves scatter around him, ready to face the challenge head-on. The boy strikes a crystal shard, shattering it with a sharp sound. Surprised, he questions the ease of his victory, wondering if the opponent was weakened. The boy kneels, relieved to have won, while the dog happily barks in approval. The boy explains to the dog that normally, the ice core of a Shimofuri Raimadoki must be destroyed to prevent it from reviving. But he has a plan. The dog questions this, and the boy confirms he wants to try something different. The man urges the boy to move on, and they set off together. Approaching a quaint house surrounded by flowers and butterflies, the boy excitedly spots his mother arriving. He calls out to her with joy, and she responds with a bright smile, calling his name warmly. The boy beams, calling her Mom with affection. The mother embraces the boy tightly, overwhelmed with happiness at their reunion. She welcomes him home, expressing how much she has longed for this moment. The boy struggles to breathe in the embrace, apologizing for getting carried away. While the man watches quietly, the mother and man exchange a knowing look as the boy catches his breath. They warmly welcome Yuki home, their smiles bright as he stands quietly before them. He responds with a joyful grin, rushing forward to call out to his mother. She embraces him tightly, overwhelmed with happiness at their reunion. Inside the cozy home, they gather around a table as his mother asks if the work is hard or if anything is fun. Yuki happily replies that everyone is nice and he's having a good time. Especially with Peter, she expresses relief, and Yuki presents souvenirs he brought for them. His parents examine the dolls Yuki brought, noting how cute they are. The mother points out the long-haired doll resembles Olympia, while the father says the other looks like Lucy. They ask if they can display the dolls at home, filling the room with warmth. The mother, moved to tears, holds the dolls close, telling Yuki he has grown so much. She promises to place the dolls in a very special place. Yuki is surprised by her tears, and the father reflects quietly that children grow up in the blink of an eye. The saintly woman smiles warmly, saying her mother is very happy. A memory flickers of a younger sister and brother, grateful to their big brother. The narration reflects on the bittersweet feeling when children suddenly become adults. Happy but a little lonely, the saintesses walk side by side, embodying this mix of joy and solitude. Footsteps approach quickly as the boy calls out to his mother, thanking her always. In the snowy mountains, she took him in and raised him with all the love she could. The scene shifts to her holding him tenderly, surrounded by falling snow. The boy hugs his mother tightly, expressing deep gratitude. She responds with heartfelt joy, calling him by name and saying she is extremely happy. The man kneels, gently patting the boy's head, telling him they are the ones grateful to him. The boy embraces his dog Pochi, who happily responds, The family stands together, the boy declaring how glad he is to have met them and become family. The mother eagerly invites him to share stories from Toano Light, excited to hear about his heroic adventures. The boy beams with excitement, clutching his dog tightly as he declares he has so much to share. Inside a cozy cabin, 3 figures sit quietly around a table. Outside, the boy and his dog rest by a peaceful pond near a quaint house surrounded by trees. The boy examines a dark crystal carefully, noting it looks good. He explains that inside the sanctuary, the body didn't revive from the ice core, but as long as it doesn't touch miasma, it's safe. He soaks the crystal in spring water, confident it will be fine. A gentle voice calls his name from behind. A woman with long hair and a braided crown asks if he's really leaving already. The boy confirms, explaining he must restore Mount Athos quickly and that people from the magic school will likely come to Peter's house. She admits she feels lonely and wishes he could stay forever. He asks if she means Lady Rilke's place. Another woman named Olympia approaches, acknowledging how much the boy has grown. She promises that next time they meet, he will have grown even more. The boy silently decides something important, holding a rosary as memories of his younger self and companions flash before him. A woman with a braided crown smiles warmly, promising to cheer Yuki on with all her heart. Yuki beams back, shouting he's off with enthusiasm. A man watches them with a gentle, approving smile. Yuki hugs the woman tightly as she tells him she will always be waiting. The man bends slightly, affirming her words. Yuki asks his dog if it will let him ride on its back, and the dog eagerly agrees. Yuki climbs onto his dog's back, commanding it to go. The dog responds happily, sprinting off at high speed. Yuki exclaims in delight at how fast they are moving, while the dog joyfully barks about loving to sprint. Back at a house, Yuki, looking tired, announces he's home. A man greets him warmly, welcoming him back and informing him that Yuki has a guest waiting. Yuki looks up with a mix of surprise and curiosity as the man opens the door. The boy, rubbing his eyes against a sudden brightness, wonders if someone from the Royal Academy has come for him as he opens the door with his dog beside him. A man in formal attire greets him warmly, recognizing him as Lord Yuki Kanzaki. Another man, holding a straw hat, gently addresses Yuki, but the boy shields his eyes from the intense light. The formally dressed man introduces himself as Christophe Mira Alberthia. Expressing pleasure in making Yuki's acquaintance, Yuki, still adjusting to the brightness, repeats the name with curiosity, while the man with the straw hat confirms it. Yuki's eyes widen in shock and awe as he realizes the visitor is a prince. The boy and his dog stand stunned, staring up at the man, while Yuki exclaims in disbelief, "A prince!" The boy stares in shock as the prince stands before him, his presence overwhelming. He wonders what business the prince could have with an ordinary, clueless kid like himself. The prince laughs warmly, telling him not to be so wary and asks if they should get straight to the point. The prince reveals a letter of recommendation from a professor, requesting that the boy be invited to the Alberthia Royal Academy. The man with the boy expresses surprise that a prince would come personally, but the prince explains they both studied under the same professor, the great Archmage Rilke. The boy is stunned that someone with such a lofty position would visit a commoner like him. He thinks the prince is truly a remarkable adult. The prince smiles, saying Professor Rilke has been quite taken with the boy and that he himself has been eager to meet him. The prince explains that the boy, a traveler from another world, was discovered by the great hero Gratanas, who exposed the Musean cult's corruption, raised within the domain of the Great Spirit and tamed the Beast King. The boy even addressed the miasma troubling the people. The prince invites him to the Alberthia Royal Academy, a venerable school with a long tradition, to nurture his talents and asks him to come at once. The boy doubts the lavish praise of the prestigious school and the personal invitation from the nation's prince, wondering if it's exaggerated. He hesitates, worried about neglecting his helper shop despite wanting to attend the academy. The man encourages him to go without holding back, prompting a surprised but hopeful response. The man praises the boy's diligent, reliable work, backed by Master Peter's endorsement, making it hard for the boy to refuse. Overwhelmed by the respect shown, he nervously agrees to do his best, encouraged by the prince's warm smile. A woman announces the decision is settled, calling out to Aquino as she descends the stairs. She reminds the boy that enrolling at the Royal Academy means being apart from Sakura for a while and asks him to invite her to a dinner party, urging him to behave properly. The boy acknowledges the responsibility, thinking about the Toano light he carries, while Aquino promises to cook her best meal. A saintly woman expresses delight that the boy will attend the Royal Academy, explaining it is the creme de la creme of elite schools requiring noble family ties and a tremendous tuition fee. The boy's eyes widen in shock as he reacts to the mention of tuition, realizing the challenge ahead. The boy panics, insisting he doesn't have that kind of money. but the saintly woman reassures him that he's likely being invited as a scholarship student, alongside outstanding youths from across the country. He breathes a sigh of relief, wiping his forehead. The woman smiles warmly, admitting she never thought he would stay in one town. The boy walks alongside her down a narrow alley, quietly expressing his gladness. The saintly woman shares that she too recently became independent as a saint, praising the boy for his hard work. She asks if he remembers the back alley, explaining how she feared he might die from mana deficiency. But now he has stopped collapsing. The boy listens intently as she thanks him sincerely. The narration reflects on how the self-pitying, frail apprentice saint from before is gone, replaced by a kind, promising, proper saint standing before him. The woman urges him to go with peace of mind, while the boy looks up at her, calling her name softly. Time has passed. Half a year since arriving at Toano Light, the boy walks through a bustling market with the saintly woman, receiving a present and thanking the giver with a bright smile. The narration notes how much has happened, as the boy waves goodbye to familiar faces, the town's peaceful scenery spreading out beneath a sky filled with glowing orbs. The boy and the saintly woman approach a bustling street where Peter's house is lively with activity. A woman calls out excitedly, announcing the star of the show has returned. The boy is hurried along by a cheerful woman, his eyes wide with sparkling wonder. A crowd gathers, warmly congratulating the boy on his enrollment in the Royal Academy. The boy, holding a small animal, looks surprised and overwhelmed by the applause and praise. The man explains modestly that the whole town has organized a party to celebrate the boy's new beginning. The crowd cheers, calling out his name with affection and encouragement. The boy sits on a crate, surrounded by the saintly woman, the man, and the crowd, all applauding. The boy beams with gratitude, promising to do his best as he thanks everyone. He stands on the crate, raising a toast with the man, while the saintly woman and townsfolk smile warmly, sharing in the joyous celebration. Yuki suddenly calls for help, startling the saintly woman beside him. Kristoff and two women rush over, concerned. The women explain that Yuki had invited a man to drink with them, but he rudely shoved money at them and ran off. They refused to work today. Upset that he treated them like a problem, Yuki is confused, unsure how to respond, wondering who the man thinks he is, hesitating to call him the prince of the country. Kristoff is corrected by Yuki, who insists the women didn't come to work but simply offered drinks as usual. The women affirm this, telling Kristoff to understand and stop. Kristoff apologizes awkwardly. The women invite Yuki to join them for a drink, and he shyly agrees to have tea with them. The women encourage Yuki to grow up well and attend school, promising to drink together when he becomes an adult. Yuki beams with determination to do his best. The festive crowd continues celebrating outside, with the saintly woman and others watching warmly. The next day, Kristoff looks exhausted from the previous party. Coughing as Yuki offers him water, a woman nearby wonders who truly guards Yuki, Kristoff or Yuki himself. Kristoff thanks Yuki and apologizes, sipping the water while Yuki watches attentively. Kristoff struggles with a hangover, questioning if it's safe to ride in a carriage feeling this way. Yuki explains that acetaldehyde, a toxic substance from the liver breaking down alcohol, causes hangovers. He wonders if dispelling miasma and detoxifying poison might be the same, then asks Kristoff to wait a moment as he prepares to help. Yuki channels healing mana, and Kristoff feels his body lighten instantly. Amazed as his nausea vanishes, grateful, Kristoff praises the splendid healing, while Yuki cheerfully confirms the relief. They prepare to depart, with Yuki leading the way alongside the horse and carriage. As they leave, the townsfolk and friends wave and cheer, wishing Yuki well and asking him to give their regards to Lady Rilke. Yuki waves back enthusiastically, thanking everyone before stepping into the carriage with Kristoff. The carriage moves through the quiet town and countryside, with Yuki looking out the window holding his dog, and Kristoff sitting nearby. They exchange a calm moment as the carriage heads away, with a farewell voice wishing them goodbye and promising to return again. The grand school building gleams like a castle under the sunlight. The boy excitedly exclaims how it looks like a castle, while his familiar echoes his excitement. The young prince gestures forward, inviting the boy to follow him inside. As they walk through the hallways, whispers ripple among the onlookers, recognizing the tall man as Crown Prince Kristoff. They wonder about the small child with him and question if the dog is a familiar. The boy feels overwhelmed by all the stares. At the entrance to a room, the prince announces they have arrived by decree of Mage Lady Rilke, inviting the boy to enter. Inside, a stern woman with long hair and a smaller girl with elaborate horns await them. The door closes behind them. The woman introduces herself as Lorenheim and questions the boy's prodigy status, emphasizing the need to follow proper procedure to enter the academy. The boy apologizes for the chaos caused by the magic department head, The prince is shocked that Lady Rilke never informed them, while Lorenheim insists there has been no message from her. The woman with long hair warns sharply that allowing exceptions will only encourage the rich and nobles to force their way into the academy. The smaller horned girl insists she personally assessed the boy and questions what's wrong with pushing one person through. The boy feels overwhelmed as the tension rises between them. The woman firmly states that proper procedures must be followed if the boy is to enroll. The horned girl suggests the boy should take the entrance exam, and the woman agrees, explaining that at this time of year, the transfer test is especially difficult. The horned girl shrugs, saying if he's a boy, he'll manage, while the boy panics, realizing he hasn't studied at all for a test. The woman adds that first, they will observe his talent and ability. The woman explains that talent is a possibility granted from heaven, while ability is training engraved upon the body. The prince and the horned girl listen intently. The woman declares that judgment will be made by the Royal Academy of Alberthia's appraisal eye, leaving the boy shocked and clutching his familiar tightly. The woman explains that talent is a possibility granted from heaven, while ability is forged into the body through training. She declares the verdict will be made by the Royal Academy of Alberthia's appraisal eye. The horned girl scoffs, doubting anyone could trust their judgment despite witnessing Yuki's talent herself. The woman sharply orders Yuki to leave his dog behind and come forward for the entrance exam. The boy wonders what the appraisal eye is as tension rises. The woman gently pats Yuki's cheeks, explaining this is like a body check to ensure no cheating. Yuki blushes, feeling the softness of her hands. While she confirms no abnormalities are found, the boy looks relieved but curious about the process. The door opens and the woman announces it's time for the appraiser's appraisal ritual. An elderly figure in a hooded cloak steps forward, asking if this is the child to examine. The woman leads the way, and the boy prepares himself for the next step. The elderly appraiser reveals that although he was not born with eyes that see reality, his eyes see only talent, the appraisal eye. The boy stands quietly as the appraiser's gaze falls upon him, the reflection of Yuki's face appearing in the appraiser's eye, signifying the start of the evaluation. The elderly appraiser notes that Yuki is blind but his eyes seem familiar. He instructs Yuki to stay still as his special eyes begin to glow, signaling the start of the appraisal. Yuki flinches under the intense gaze, while the woman and Yuki's dog urge the appraiser to stay strong. Yuki hurriedly runs off to fetch paper, overwhelmed by the situation. The woman presents Yuki's certificate of appraisal, detailing his unique abilities. Traveler from another world, universal translation, sturdy body, healing magic, and the rare privilege to tame magical beasts. Yuki realizes it was thanks to his dog Pochi and his skills that he recently began speaking. Doubts creep in as Yuki wonders if the appraisal could be a mistake, feeling his skills seem plain despite the certificate. He recalls refusing a flashy reincarnation cheat. Christoph Mira Alberthia praises Yuki warmly as the favored child raised by the great hero Gratanas and the great spirit Olympia. Yuki nervously prepares to respond. Lorenheim and the elderly woman exchange confused looks. A few hours later, Lorenheim announces that Yuki Kanzaki's admission has been approved by the Emergency Council of Department Heads. Yuki gratefully thanks them, while the woman wipes a tear of relief and joy. Christoph congratulates Yuki, excited to spend their academy life together. Yuki is surprised Christoph is a student here. Thinking he must be about 20 years old, Christoph explains he graduates next year and offers a quick explanation of the academy system. Younger students start in the general department, progressing through junior, middle, and senior classes after 2 or 3 years. A select few pass a selection to join a specialized department, like the magic department. Yuki learns he will also begin in the general department, just like Christoph, who receives lessons from Lady Rilke. Christoph offers to guide Yuki to the dorm, but suddenly Lady Rilke interrupts, insisting Yuki belongs in her magic department. Lorenheim protests to Lady Rilke that she can't decide Yuki's placement on her own. Lady Rilke sternly asks Yuki what he has come here for, while Yuki nervously replies that the academy's custom is to start in the general department. Lady Rilke encourages Yuki, explaining that if he studies magic under her, especially summoning magic, he may find the way to dispel Athos miasma, which is Yuki's dream. The woman insists they must set an example for other students. No matter what, the girl adds that if Yuki passes the magic department selection, there will be no problem. The scene shifts to the Grand Academy building as the announcement rings out. The magic department selection exam will begin immediately. Inside a large hall, students gather quietly. Yuki steels himself, thinking that if he fails, his path to learning magic will be much longer. Determined, he resolves to give it his all as he steps forward with his companion. Students whisper among themselves, questioning why the magic department selection is held at such an unusual time. They speculate it's because of a small transfer student, arranged personally by the magic department head. One remarks it's probably just the head's whim. Convinced the transfer student can't pass, they decide to simply watch the proceedings unfold. The girl enthusiastically calls everyone to attention. Explaining this is a special edition of the selection exam, students groan, recalling the usual grueling 3-day ordeal. The rules are declared simple, but Yuki's nervousness deepens as he prepares for the challenge ahead. The elf girl announces that no matter the means, anyone still standing after 1 minute will pass. Students nearby react in shock and confusion. Yuki and his companion remain calm, understanding that obstacles will arise to prevent them from standing still. The girl cheerfully signals the start of the test. With a bright command, the exam officially begins. The ground ripples magically as Yuki and his companion leap forward, eyes wide with determination. The moment the test starts, Yuki senses the challenge has arrived. Yuki moves swiftly, running along the wall in an unexpected way that startles onlookers. The crowd gasps and cries out in surprise, questioning the unusual movement. The elf girl explains that earth magic is basic, implying this tactic is simple yet effective. Yuki's focused gaze reflects the astonished spectators. Students watch in awe as someone floats midair, a girl in a school uniform defying gravity. Yuki, still on the ground, marvels at the scene, noting the person isn't even officially in the magic department yet. The elf girl encourages more displays of magic, smiling brightly as the academy's magical atmosphere fills the air. Yuki admires the grandeur of the Alberthia Royal Academy. The boy realizes the attack came from below and braces himself as a group of people are swept up in a violent storm. He shields his head, struggling against the fierce winds and debris swirling from above. Icicles rain down as he leaps and dodges through the air, narrowly avoiding the sharp ice shards. His large, mystical dog companion barks in warning, standing protectively nearby. Grateful, the boy thanks the dog, who responds with a bark as if to say no thanks are needed. Onlookers whisper in awe, questioning if the boy has a taming skill or if the creature is a familiar or magic beast. The boy feels their gaze but admires how much cooler everyone controlling magic looks. A girl with a flower-adorned hat observes the boy and his beast. Noting he is taking the no restrictions rule literally, she readies her own fiery magic, declaring the next attack is coming, while the boy prepares himself for the challenge ahead. The boy winces, overwhelmed by the intense heat despite his durable body. He scolds his dog, Pochi, reminding him that fire isn't his specialty and warning against using full power that could instantly wipe out humans. Resolute, the boy decides to rely on his own skills. A durable body, the blessing of the Great Spirit, and healing magic. He focuses, drawing on his durable body and his mother's love, circulating the magic stored inside him. Memories of saving Sakura and curing Kristoff's hangover bolster his resolve. Nearby students notice the glowing magic and exchange surprised looks. The boy announces his magic, a self-strengthening healing spell that repairs burns before they even form. A girl watching praises his quick creation of the spell, impressed as the magic activates instantly. Exhausted but relieved, the boy wipes his brow. Realizing he managed the challenge, he looks around, wondering if only a few remain. 2 instructors commend him, affirming the exam was a fair selection and congratulating the transfer student on his success. The boy notices 2 figures perched high on a wall, silently watching him. A confident girl smiles knowingly. Nearby, 2 students turn, sensing something, but the boy insists it's not time yet. Suddenly, he panics, realizing a full minute hasn't passed, demanding an explanation. Determined, the boy recalls his master's warning never to lower his guard, suspecting more trials await based on past selection methods. The girl on the wall explains that sleep anywhere means vulnerability, not freedom. As she prepares a sleep spell, 2 others recognize the chant, alarmed at the impending magic. The boy and the 2 students begin to feel drowsy, struggling to stay awake as the sleep spell takes hold. The boy fights the overwhelming sleepiness, but even his dog Pochi succumbs. Curling up and dozing nearby, he urges himself to resist, sensing the danger. The girl criticizes the boy's careless attitude, warning that being able to sleep anytime makes him more susceptible to sleep spells. 2 onlookers notice the magical mist spreading, while the girl's expression shifts to surprise as something unexpected catches her attention. The boy succumbs to the spreading sleep mist, his eyes closing as exhaustion overtakes him. The 2 students holding his hands remain alert, their expressions tense as the magical fog envelopes them all. Even the dog nearby looks up with concern. The girl reflects on how their master foresaw this exact scenario and chose to keep them awake, rather than avoid the danger by holding their breath. She admires the clever use of mana transfer to counteract status effects. While the crowd around them watches in awe, the girl calls their master a hopeless do-gooder for risking himself to protect others. The girl on the wall announces that the moment the mist filled the air, a full minute had already passed, confirming their success. She declares that Yuki Kanzaki, along with Cecilia and Basil, have all passed the trial, their perseverance rewarded as the mist dissipates around them. The boy wakes with wide eyes, stretching and yawning as he sits up in a grand bedroom. His small dog, Pochi, bounces excitedly toward him. He pauses, confused, and asks where he is, looking around the spacious, elegant room. Reflecting, he recalls being put under a sleep spell during the selection exam and trying to shake off drowsiness from his companions. He wonders what happened afterward as he walks quietly down a hallway. Suddenly, a man opens a door and greets him, announcing that he has awakened. The boy asks the man, Mr. Christoph, where they are. Christoph explains they are in the academy dormitory. Sharing a room, the boy admits he is happy despite feeling uneasy, and Christoph mentions he was worried because the boy slept for 3 whole days after the exam. The boy anxiously asks about his exam results. Doubting himself, the boy worries that sleeping so long might mean failure, but Christoph reassures him that he passed. He praises the boy's noble spirit for refusing to abandon others during the exam. The boy is surprised but relieved when Christoph confirms that the 2 companions beside him also passed. Christoph encourages him to prepare for the academy. The boy proudly wears his new academy uniform, beaming with joy as the cat beside him looks up. Mr. Christoph compliments the fit, saying it suits him well. The boy feels thrilled to be a shiny new first-year student. Christoph informs him that his enrollment paperwork is complete and offers to show him around the academy before classes begin. The boy gratefully accepts. The trio, boy, man, and cat, walk through the academy grounds, entering a grand building filled with sunlight. They continue inside to a spacious, elegant library. The boy looking around with wonder. They proceed down a long, bright hallway, the boy and cat following closely behind. Inside a large classroom, Christoph explains it is for first years of the General Studies Department, where the boy will attend. The boy marvels at the size of the room. Realizing he must work hard to master magic, Christoph then asks if the boy would accompany him around the academy outside of class as well. The boy listens attentively, curious. The boy questions why, and Christoph nervously suggests it might be quicker to just show him around. Suddenly, 2 girls pass by, causing Christoph to react with surprise. He tells the boy he will wait behind the staircase near the cafeteria at lunchtime and promises to explain then. Christoph quickly walks away, leaving the boy wondering what it's all about. Rumors ripple through the classroom about a kid who passed the magic department entrance exam, sparking excitement over the fluffy dog accompanying him. A tall woman introduces herself as Yuki Kanzaki and announces the new student joining their class. The boy nervously bites his tongue while greeting everyone. Yuki advises the boy not to hesitate to ask for help if he has trouble and explains that a girl will assist him until he settles in. A young girl with long, light hair appears, warmly introducing herself to Yuki. The girl, Rosalia, bows politely and expresses her honor in meeting him. The boy blushes and admits he's getting nervous but greets her warmly. Yuki notes Rosalia is the closest in age to the boy in their class, making her a good fit. Rosalia reveals she has heard about him from her brother. The boy asks about Rosalia's brother, and Yuki explains she is Christoph's younger sister and the country's princess. The boy is shocked to meet a real princess but quickly introduces himself properly. Yuki emphasizes that within the academy, there are no class distinctions, and even nobles are taught to respect each other's unique traits, which she expects from her students. Basil smiles warmly and says, "I see. Well then." Before extending his hand, he politely greets Rosalia, saying, "Nice to meet you, Rosalia-san." Rosalia looks puzzled and asks, "What's this?" Basil cheerfully explains it's a handshake, a sign of friendship. She reflects quietly on the meaning of friendship as she gazes at his outstretched hand. She hesitantly takes Basil's hand, and he laughs nervously as she holds it. She looks surprised and contemplative, clutching her own hand as she processes this new experience. The scene shifts to a classroom where a teacher calls on Yuki to answer a question on the board. Yuki confidently responds, earning praise from the teacher and cheers from classmates, including Rosalia and Basil, who watch attentively. The hallway outside buzzes with students walking and chatting. As they walk down the hallway, Rosalia praises Yuki for answering a difficult question so smoothly, calling it splendid work. Yuki modestly deflects the compliment, explaining he is technically an adult and graduated from college. He wonders if Japan's compulsory education system is the real cheat power behind his success. Yuki notices a commotion near the cafeteria area and Rosalia confirms it. He recalls a promise to meet Christoph behind the staircase near the cafeteria at lunchtime and dashes off, with Rosalia calling after him. Nearby, a crowd of girls gathers around Prince Christoph, who is approached by 2 girls seeking his advice on an assignment. Yuki observes the crowd and realizes his brother is always easy to find in such situations. He decides to help Christoph, who looks troubled. Suddenly, Yuki urgently calls out to Christoph, But before he can reach him, Kristoff loudly declares he is hungry, startling everyone around. Rosalia and Yuki watch as the announcement causes a shocked reaction among the group. Kristoff politely excuses himself from the group of girls, explaining he has lunch plans with Yuki. Yuki calls out to him, and Kristoff acknowledges Rosalia with a surprised greeting. Yuki urges his brother to eat already, and Kristoff admits Yuki saved him. Kristoff remarks it's rare to see Rosalia in the cafeteria, and she confirms she is Yuki's caretaker for the first-year class. Kristoff explains that royals usually dine separately at the academy, but asks if he may join them this time. Rosalia is flustered, denying any special reason. While Yuki and the dog listen quietly, Rosalia shyly refers to herself as Yuki's friend, causing Yuki to look puzzled. Yuki wonders if offering a handshake was rude. While the dog urges to just eat already, the cafeteria buzzes with activity around them. Kristoff reminds Yuki that he will be going to Lady Lilka's place this afternoon to study magic. Kristoff notes the magic department is far away, so they should leave early. He offers to guide Yuki there, but Rosalia insists she will take him since she has general studies class. She asks her brother to take care of Yuki, and Kristoff acknowledges her with a nod as they prepare to leave. Yuki waves goodbye cheerfully alongside his dog, thanking Rosalia for today and promising to see her tomorrow. Rosalia smiles warmly and agrees, quietly reflecting that Yuki is her very first friend. Kristoff remarks that his sister has taken quite a liking to Yuki. Yuki confirms this happily and promises to continue being kind to her. While Kristoff points out the magic department director's office nearby, Yuki waves farewell to Kristoff as he heads off. Yuki knocks on a door and introduces himself. The door opens to reveal Lady Lilka, who greets him with a sly smile. She immediately declares Yuki will be her disciple, but he quickly protests, saying he cannot become her disciple. Yuki explains that his master is Lucy Granadas, so he cannot call anyone else master. Lady Lilka is shocked and frustrated, lamenting how many want to be her disciples. Yuki decides to call Lady Lilka Sensei instead, resolving the issue. Lady Lilka mutters to herself but finally agrees to be called Sensei, conceding with a reluctant fine then. Yuki asks her to teach a spell involving summoning materials from another world. She admits explaining it is tedious and offers to assist by having him give her his hand. She begins the spell, touching his hand as magical energy flows between them. Yuki watches in awe as a magical crest appears on his palm. Lady Lilka explains that with the crest, all the complicated chants and formulas for summoning can be skipped. Yuki is amazed but confused when she says the next step is all about feeling the magic. Yuki asks if Lady Lilka has ever taught magic before, and she confidently replies that she hasn't. Students just grow on their own. She points out that Yuki created his own defensive spell during the exam by using his imagination. She encourages him to use his imagination as the key to magic. Lady Lilka elaborates that the clearer and more vivid Yuki's imagination, the stronger his magic will be. Yuki struggles to fully grasp the concept but nods in understanding. Lady Lilka emphasizes that practice is what matters most. Suddenly, Cecilia knocks and asks to come in, and Yuki nervously invites her inside. Yuki Kanzaki quietly repeats to himself to imagine, recalling how he imagined healing a burn before. Suddenly, Cecilia appears holding a bundle and apologizes for not noticing him earlier. Yuki recognizes her from the exam and calls her name in surprise. Cecilia tells Yuki she has something important to discuss with him, leaving him confused. Pochi, Yuki's small fox-like companion, suddenly reacts to a foul scent, startling Cecilia. Pochi grabs a cloth with his mouth, drawing Yuki's attention. Yuki looks shocked as Cecilia confirms she wants to talk about the strange object in his hands. The object is revealed as a peculiar, limp root-like creature with leaves, prompting Yuki to exclaim in disbelief.